JavaScript, we are creating a snake game. As you remember, we are playing this game when a Nokia mobile. It's a very popular games, snake games. So we will create these games in JavaScripting. We are writing a document type, HTML, head, titles. We are start title tags, and we are closing, and we are writing a styles. In a style, we are mentioning a HTML and a body, in which we are writing a height is 100% and margin is 0%. So we will create a body in which we are mentioning a various attributes like a background, that color should be a black, as you will use as per your requirement, either a white or something else. So display is a flex and align item center, justify contents again. We are using a center. Then we are using another name is canvas, in which we are mentioning a border is 1 pixel. It's a solid white colors. So then we are closing this style and head also, and then we are writing a body in which we are mentioning a canvas. Width is a 400 we are set. We create a canvas that is in the square forms, in the rectangular forms. Height is 400, so it's a square type, and the name of the game is Snake Games. So we are writing a script in which we are already used in the JavaScript, where we are defining a variable. Canvas is a document.get element by ID, and we are writing here in a snake game that we are already defined up. So then we are again writing a variable context, in which we are writing a canvas.get context, and we are writing about a 2D. So we are using a grid and counts, in which we are writing a grid is a 16 and count is 0. So starting is 0. So variable snake we are mentioning here, and we are writing x 160, y 160, and snake velocity, and that should be a moves one grid length, and we are mentioning x and y directions. Then we are writing a grid that is a 0, and we are using a x and y, in which we are using a grids that is already mentioned here, that is a 16. So we are writing a track of all grids that we are using. So we are using all grids tracks like a snake body occupies. So we are mentioning arrays type cells. Then we are writing a length of the snake that we are using here. So we are writing a length of the snake that grow whenever eating apple. So maximum cells we are using, that should be 4. So it depend, you may use as per your requirement. So we are mentioning a variable apples that should be a 320, x coordinates and y coordinates is also 320. So then we are using a random whole number in a specific range. So we use a function get random int. We are using this as a minimum or maximum randomized number. Random means we are using like 1, 5, 9 random number, right? So return that again we required. We are using a math.floor math.random number, which multiply with the max minus minimum, and we are add a minimum number here. So loop, we are starting a function, we are requesting animation frame loop. This is already. So we are using a slow by using a 15 fps instead of 16. So we are writing here that is a, the double quotes is always stand for a comments point of view. So we are writing pre-increment that is a less than 4 and return a values. So count and context dot clear rectangles. So when we need a clear rectangles, we are mentioning coordinate x0, y, and width we as we mentioned above, and height again we are mentioning above. So in a canvas. Then we are writing about a move of a snake of the velocity. We are every time it's increment if the snake is eating any apples, the size is increasing. So wrap a snake position horizontally on the edge of the screen. So we using this screen's edge if the snake dot x is less than 0, so canvas width minus grid means suppose the snakes eat any apples, its size increase and grid reduced. So you should clear reducing that grid from the width. So similarly, we are using else if wrap the snake position vertically on the edge of the screen. So we need if we wrapping, we are using a snake dot y and mentioning convex height. So we are writing a height, width, and track of where a snake has been front of the arrays. So we are writing here there is a snake dot cells and shift x y. So we are using a remove of the cell, we move from them. So we're using a max cells and writing a cell pop. As you there is a push and pop. There are two options are there. You remember if you remember. So draw apples. We are using context.fill style and color should be red. Apple's always red. So if you like green and something else, you may create it by put them. So fill rectangle. So apple x y coordinates and grid always reduce one set. If it is reduced, then we are drawing the cell of the times. So we are writing a green here. We are creating function in which we are mention a loops using and drawing a one pixel smaller than the grid creates. So effect so we will play this a context dot fill rectangle. So we will create a rectangle in which x coordinate, y coordinate, grid and grid minus what. So next is eight if snake ate apples. So it is always using an apple cell of x coordinate and y coordinate and then we are mentioning a increment of the snake cells. So if there we are using a 400 by 400 as you see above x coordinate 25 by 25 by grids. So we are using a get random integer types. We are mentioning a 0 25s. So we are closing and collision with all self after this modified bubble sort. We are using techniques as you remember the bubble sort techniques. So snake occupies same space as the body parts. So rest games so if the cell is always increase, automatically it will eat apples. So we are writing this all cell 160x y coordinate array loops and max cell and grids and y and random number 0 to 25 and we are using a randomize and closing all the loops. So we are listen to keyboard events and move of the snakes. We are using a add event listener. It is already inside you are using this and key downs move of the you will listen as sound. So every time you are listening a sound and you will create a backtracking of it and already axis of the movements and doing all these things and then you are using arrays keys like e dot which so we are mentioning here is 37 and you are using a grids and all these aspects and arrows your keyboard's arrow left your right movement your up your downs so this is a coding of up and downs and these are movements so you have to note it down and I will take this keys from the ASCII codes. So I will use this all these things and then I am writing here and using a closing this loop and after that request for the games request animation frame loops we are using here we are closing all loops and we are moving toward that is a name of the get element by id so we are using a here we are using a game so let's play start games. We will save it and we will run. We will save calls as we will save this save as option is there. So I will save with the name of snake.html and it. So I will overwrite it if it already opens and we are moving toward runs. So run. So this is the movement of the snake as you see in the screens. So snake move, I move down, right, left. This is the movement of the snake as you see in the pixels. The red is an apples. So this is a it's a cell is increase as you see. So again every time he eats of so as you know this is a so you eat and play games start play games. So if you have any query email me. Thank you.